In the Sunshine Leaks Part 6, we expose how Marcelo Claure, co-founder of electronics distributor Brightstar and an executive of SoftBank, leverages his position for personal gain. In this final part, we will further show how Claure uses the SoftBank name to advance his personal interests. For example, Venezuelan national Donald Cahill Mangudo, a friend of Claure's, was the registered agent of Brightstar upon its incorporation in Florida, its principal place of business, in 1997, and was therefore involved in the murky transactions between Brightstar and CHS Electronics, run by Venezuelan criminal Claudio Osorio, who is currently imprisoned for fraud. Like Claure, Cahill was in his mid-20s when Brightstar was founded, having previously worked in an automobile dealership with Latin American operations after graduating with a business degree from Palm Beach Atlantic University in 1993. Cahill now serves as SoftBank's business lead for the Americas, responsible for identifying opportunities for SoftBank investments in Latin America. As a close friend of Claure's, he also owns a minority stake in his Bolivian soccer team, Club Bolivar. Another example is Javier Villamizar, currently a partner at SoftBank responsible for identifying new investments and formerly an executive of Brightstar. Villamizar is another trusted associate of Claure's, whom he may have used to conceal money laundering activities in Brazil through a Florida company called Brazilian Holdings, registered in 2004 at the same address as Brightstar. Although Brazilian Holdings operations are unclear, it was created shortly after Claure, CHS, and the Osorio clan dissolved their joint venture in Brazil, where for years Brightstar had a large warehouse in Campinas, a town described as the center for money laundering activities by the US's panel of congressional inquiries. As discussed in Part 3, Brightstar and CHS dissolved their Brazilian joint venture shortly before filing for a potential initial public offering with the SEC in 2004, which was done to avoid scrutiny of its operations. It is possible that some of the joint venture's assets or operations were ultimately transferred to Brazilian Holdings, overseen by Villamizar. Claure also used Villamizar and the SoftBank name to support investments made by his brother Martin, who founded venture fund MC Capital Advisors in 2010. For example, Martin created tech educational platforms Aprende Institute and Gastronomica Internacional and appointed Villamizar as a director and advisor of both. Although the series has exposed several transgressions, fraudulent activities, and the leveraging of powerful connections for personal gain, Claure's other alleged criminal misconducts have resurfaced in recent months. For example, in August 2020, current directors of the Bolivian Football Federation expressed a desire to once again investigate the federation's management from 1993 to 1994, when Claure and his Bolivian mentor Guido Loaiza were in charge. In 2012, the president of the BFF, Carlos Chavez, publicly accused Loaiza and Claure of embezzling $10 million by selling tickets for Bolivia's 1994 World Cup matches on the black market. This was the most financially profitable World Cup in history, with an average of approximately 69,000 spectators per match. Claure, who set up offices in the US to manage ticket sales in 1994, filed a defamation lawsuit against Chavez, but both cases were dismissed. In June 2020, Freddy Tellez, the former executive director of BFF, also questioned Claure over the tickets. Tellez publicized BFF's 1994 financial statements and a report from an independent auditor which states it was impossible to determine the total income generated from Bolivia's participation in the 1994 World Cup, given the lack of information provided in these statements. This concludes our first series, The Sunshine Leaks, during which we expose only a fraction of Claure's criminal past and consistent abuse of wealth, power, and influential connections for personal gain. In our next series, Sunshine Leaks the prequel, we will more closely examine Claure's entry into the electronics distribution industry during the 1990s, merely acting as a puppet of a larger organized criminal network. In exchange for serving as a front, Claure reaped substantial profits from the proceeds of crime, ultimately earning him the title of the richest Bolivian alive.